Well, if Joe Biden is actually preparing to enter the 2020 presidential fray as the closest thing Democrats can find to a moderate, he'll find himself pedaling alone in the bike lane on the far right of the Democratic primary superhighway with four clogged lanes of traffic roaring by to his left. Notwithstanding some who might try to argue that the latest Democrat dance craze, the white privileged young Beto O'Rourke, is a moderate, hardly a credible claim given his radical positions on climate change and guns, among other things, and his promise to actually tear down any wall Trump constructs on the southern border, Democrats seem intent on digging their own electoral grave in plain sight. Their top tier of candidates, Bernie, Kamala, Pocahontas, Spartacus, have all affirmed their support for nakedly socialist proposals ranging from a virtual government takeover of the economy through the Green New Deal to reparations for the descendants of slaves, abortion to the point of birth, open borders, sanctuary cities, and the list goes on. Oh, and since President Booker is a vegan, he'll take action to make sure you won't be able to eat meat either. What a mess. Enter Barack Obama's vice president with the best poll numbers early on, based primarily on name recognition. And the theory goes that if electability or suitability for beating Trump is the sole premise upon which to base a nominee, then perhaps Biden is the only one who can soothe the savage left-wing beast and serve as the voice of reason and carry the Democrats' banner into the inevitable white-knuckle street fight with Trump. Now, on paper, that might make some sense. But remember who we're talking about here. There are so many problems with Joe Biden, it's hard to enumerate them all. But let's give it a shot. Front and center is the immutable fact that in a party where gender, race, and youth are the currency of the day, old Joe is a 76-year-old plain rapper white guy. And then there's the gaffes, or breathtaking statements by the former vice president. Remember, clean and articulate? Imagine if Biden were to call Obama today what he did in 2008.
You got the first sort of mainstream African American who is articulate and bright and clean and a nice looking guy.
Clean? Clean? What exactly does that mean? Okay, then there was this.
That Chuck Graham, state senator's here. Chuck, stand up, Chuck. Let him see you. Oh, God love you. What am I talking about?
That guy he asked to stand was in a wheelchair. Oh, and let's not forget when he was caught saying this to a guy of Indian descent.
You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent. I'm not joking.
Then there was the time he mistakenly put a woman in the grave.
The Taoiseach knows a lot about it. His mom lived in Long Island for 10 years or so. God rest her soul. And although your mom's still alive as your dad passed.
Okay. Those are hilarious in demonstrating the utter haplessness of Joe Biden, but not all of his verbal gaffes were so harmless. Like the time during the 2012 campaign when he warned a black audience of the ill intentions of Mitt Romney and Republicans in reducing Wall Street regulations.
He's going to let the big banks once again write their own rules. Unchain Wall Street. They're going to put you all back in chains.
Put you all back in chains. Yes, that was the plan of the radical right-winger Mitt Romney. Of course, none of these head-shaking verbal gaffes are enough to disqualify Biden or even move him off his perch as the theoretical frontrunner in a field that's now grown to 15 candidates, 13 announced and 2 others in the so-called exploratory stage. But those who think the fact that Biden was an appendage of Obama makes him electable have evidently failed to consider that Biden crested around 1% and failed to capture a single delegate, not one, in two previous presidential runs that could only be characterized as dismal failures. His 1988 campaign ended in the disgrace of plagiarism. In 2008, he quit the race after finishing at or near the bottom of every early primary. In Biden's attempts to break away from the progressive pack and take it to the House on the strength of his ordinary guy persona, his voice will almost certainly be drowned out, and he has hardly shown the guts to stand up to the vicious rhetoric of the radicals in his party. Exhibit A is a recent incident in which Biden was vilified by leftist Cynthia Nixon for calling Vice President Pence, quote, a decent guy. Biden responded within the hour with this apology: "You're right, there's nothing decent about being anti-LGBTQ rights, and that includes the vice president." Some backbone. So, is there any appetite at all for a recycled remnant of the good old days of Obama's fundamental transformation of America? Is this two-time loser the answer? Could the Democrats really be that desperate? We'll take a quick break and then come back with Joe Schaefer, LibertyNation.com national correspondent, to review the bidding in the ever-growing Democratic field of presidential candidates.
Exhausted by all the fake news? On LibertyNation.com's YouTube channel, facts and fresh, bold analysis are what you get without the leftist spin. Subscribe today to the LibertyNation.com YouTube channel, because
truth is
making a comeback.